Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ash here coming at you today in Raid Shadow Legends. So today's going to be a very fun video. We're going to conclude this month of the series where I review the last 5 champions of a specific rarity that I maxed out and talk about them. I'm going to rank them again like the other videos that we've talked about with epics. No aura on any of these champions. That sucks. But like the epics and the legendaries, of course, it's impossible, apples and oranges, to compare a support champion with a damage dealer with a control champion. But we're just going to kind of pretend if I could only have one of these champions, who would I have, you know, in terms of overall versatility and stuff like that, who I think can scale into the late game in Raid Shadow Legends better than some of the other champions that we're going to be reviewing today. So just as the other 2 videos as well, I'm going to go ahead and kind of take a look at these champions all together in Dragon's Lair. Hopefully we'll win. I'm assuming we will. They're all great champions here, just like the epic video, unlike the legendary video. I think that all 5 of these champions are really solid for rare champions. Some of them great champions overall. Forget that they're even rare. They can really stand on their own toe-to-toe with epic champions in the game. So I'm going to rank them, but don't read too much into it. All 5 of these I personally consider top 15 rare champions in the game. I was going to say top 20, but I think they're all top 15. Maybe one of them, well, let's go ahead and rank from 5 to 1, and then we'll take a look at their kits as well, and we'll talk a little bit about how I have them geared out, and what I think of them after playing around with them for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever it's been. So number 5, my least favorite of these champions is actually the guy who just went, and it's Dilgal. Dilgal is a really solid champion. He has an AoE 2-hitter with decreased accuracy. Really nice to have on your team. He is Void Affinity, so a little bit more difficult to get as well. But, you know, overall, he just doesn't bring as much to the table, I feel, as some of the other champions on this list. So Dilgal is actually going to be my least favorite out of these 5. And by the way, guys, always let me know in the comments if I'm missing something on one of these champions. Maybe you lean very heavily on one of these champions on one of your teams. Let us know about it in the comments, as I always appreciate your feedback. So number 4 out of these 5 champions is going to be Diabolist. Diabolist is a great champion. As a matter of fact, I think she's probably going to be the biggest damage dealer on this team, and she's farmable. She is free-to-play friendly. You can farm her in stage 12 of the campaign, and I think she's a tremendous champion. So again, this is really testament to the other champions, the other 3 ahead of her, than it is a knock on her specifically. She's a tremendous champion. She deals a lot of damage. I did a guide on her just a day or 2 ago. She deals a lot of damage. She also has that turn meter on her A3, and she has increased speed for all allies with an AoE attack on her A2. Very handy champion to have, and she puts out a lot of damage as well. On top of that, she can be kind of your, I don't know, I guess in this comp, she'll be my main nuker, I suppose, but she can really be a solid number 2 or number 3 damage dealer on your team as well, and she's farmable, she's easy to book out, she's a really solid champion. I have Avir the Alchmage a little bit higher than her. By the way, these champions, just in case you're unfamiliar, we have Reliquary Tender on the far right. We have Diabolist next to her, getting attacked right now. We have the dead Dilgal in the middle, and then we have Avir the Alchmage, excuse me, next to that dead corpse, and then we have a Draconis on the far left. Okay, so Diabolist, really solid. Avir the Alchmage is super good. He has a poison on his A1. I believe the strong version of poison. We can see it up right now on his A1. Very solid to have. He has decreased attack as well on his A2 on an AoE. And then he has both a heal and a turn meter increase on his A3. Great support champion. I do consider him, I don't know, borderline top 10 rare in the game on Avir the Alchmage. And then it gets really tricky. We're going into my top 2 champions here. I really do think, you guys know if you saw the guide that I did on Draconis, I'll link, by the way, a guide. I've done a guide on all of these champions. I'll link all their individual guides in the show notes below on this video in the description, so you can check out, you know, your favorite champion out of these 5 if you want to after viewing this video. So I'm going to go with Draconis as number 2. but it is really close. And that's only because I consider personally Reliquary Tender to be a top 5 rare in the game, and I really, Draconis might be there. Reliquary Tender and Draconis might be like number 3 or 4 or 4 or 5 best rare champions in the game. I do think that Apothecary and Coldheart kind of stand alone as 1 and 2, probably Coldheart and Apothecary depending on what you need, but I really think 3 and 4 could be Reliquary Tender and Draconis now. Draconis being a brand new champion, Reliquary Tender not being a new champion. You can already see the value that both of these champions bring to the table here. Draconis has a really great shield ability in his kit. He also has heal. He also has a cleanse on his A3 with another heal on his A3. Just a tremendous support champion, and he's a rare that I actually built out specifically to help me clear Faction Wars 21, 3-star. And believe it or not, there's not that many rares in the game that you can say that about. A rare champion that helped you clear the most difficult area of this entire game right now before Doom Tower was released. So Draconis is a tremendous support champion. Depending on when and where you need these champions, he can be more useful than Reliquary Tender, who's another Void champion. So Reliquary Tender number 1, and you can see the utility that she brings to the table here in this matchup against Dragon's Lair. Not only does she have a revive on her kit, but she also has a full cleanse and a strong continuous heal buff as well. Continuous heal is an incredible heal ability to have on your team, and then the cleanse, getting rid of all these poisons from the dragon. You guys have already seen it here in this very matchup, in this very video. Incredibly helpful. Very strong. She also has a decreased attack, which you just saw her land as well. Just a tremendous champion overall. Tender's Watch, 2 turns of the strong version, 15% continuous heal. It's going to keep our entire team healthy, and if we lose Dilgal 15 times like he died in the second wave, she's going to be there to revive him every single time. Incredibly useful champion. Very rare, forgive the pun, but very rare for a rare champion to have the revive, the cleanse, and the heal like Reliquary Tender has on her kit. And again, I mean, what rares? You guys kind of heard my list of top 5 rares. I think that if I had to add a 5th champion, it would be a toss-up between probably Belor and Painkeeper, I guess. It would be my opinion on the top 6 rares in any order, along with, again, Apothecary and along with Coldheart, and then kind of Draconis and Reliquary Tender kind of rounding out. That would be my top 6 rares, I guess. Am I forgetting anybody who you guys love as well? Let me know. Kale is also really solid. So Dilgal put out, even though he died 1,000,000 times, he put out 750,000 damage, not bad. Reliquary Tender healed for almost 1,000,000, not bad at all there. Draconis, just a beast, put out a decent amount of damage at 622, but obviously did a lot of other help for the team with all that shield value, right? And then we have Avir the Alchmage, again, put out 1.3 million damage. Aveer carrying the DPS of this team. I gotta admit, I'm a little bit impressed with him. I thought that Diabolist would put out the most damage. She was second with 916,000. You know, all these champions are really solid. As I said, now let's go ahead and see. It took us, what, 6 minutes and 30 seconds to clear Dragon's 20, but we got the job done. That's all that matters. I was worried that I was going to have a rare spotlight team, my last 5 rares that I maxed out, and they would all suck and just wipe on the second round of Dragon 20. Those waves of Dragon 20, you guys know, like, dude, Dragon's considered the easiest dungeon, and I agree with that, but it's they hit hard, man. Those champions hit hard too, so it's nothing to be you know, scoffed at or underestimated, I should say. So let's go ahead and take a look at these champions, guys. Let's go to the rare section here. Starting out with, let's go in reverse order this time and talk about all these champions. So starting with Dilgal. So Dilgal, man, let's take a look at his skills. On his A1, he has a decreased speed, okay? On the A2, attacks all enemies. And decreased speed is solid to have on an A1, grants one target, and it's the weak version of decreased speed, but it is a 50% chance clip, so not bad to have. This is the shot spray, which should be spray shot, right? Shot spray. Attacks all enemies 2 times on a 3-turn cooldown. Already a lot of value in that. I see some people trying to put him in a stun set. Makes sense because you get an 18% chance of landing that stun 2 times, but he only does have 1 AoE attack in his kit, so it's kind of wasted at the same time. Depends on what you have. If you have the available stun gear, go ahead and consider that. Each hit has a 75% chance of placing a 50% decreased accuracy debuff for 2 turns. I do believe that 50% decreased accuracy is an undervalued debuff to have. So 50% cuts your accuracy in half of all enemies. Not going to be landing their debuffs as consistently. And again, it is a 2-time hitter there. But you can see that even with the 2-time hitter and the A1 as well, dealing damage, he wasn't, one of our main damage dealers on that run. Take it for what it's worth. Attacks 1 enemy 3 times on his A3. Big Game Hunter, 4-turn cooldown. Each hit has a 65% chance of placing a strong version of decreased defense for 2 turns. Decent against bosses. However, it is for 2 turns on a 4-turn cooldown. I'd be much more excited about this ability if it was on a 3-turn cooldown as well. So that is his kit. It's all right, right? But that's kind of, at least for me, that's kind of why I ranked him 5th. It doesn't jump out at me as, if his multipliers were higher too, I'd be more excited, but they're just not that high. War Master on this champion, and then I went kind of right down the right side of support. I went with Lore of Steel, went with Evil Eye, Master Hexer, and Sniper for the abilities in the support tree. So in terms of artifacts on this champion, I built him out with 100% crit rate, trying to get a little bit of damage out of this fella, obviously. His damage is based off of attack, but I also had to give him a little bit of durability. You can see he died 1,000,000 times, even with a 2,300 defense and a 34k HP. Crit rate a little bit high there, could sacrifice a little bit of that, but I do have crit rate gauntlets on this champion, 182 speed, and 264 accuracy. Definitely need accuracy, and I have an accuracy set on him here. The resist, don't read too much into that, just have the gear available. On his middle row, like I said, we did go with crit rate, we went with attack percentage, and we went with speed on his boots. And then for accessories, we went defense, crit damage, and accuracy on the banner. At 264 accuracy, we might be able to get by without an accuracy banner, but again, we do have our Void Great Hall maxed out in terms of accuracy, so just definitely take that into consideration as well. I do think that accuracy banner makes the most sense for this champion. Now let's go ahead and take a quick look at Diabolis. I just did a full guide on her the other day, so we won't spend tons of time going over her kit, but Torment on the A1 has a 20% chance of sleep, kind of whatever. Electric Storm has an AoE attack and an increased speed, strong version on all allies for 2 turns. Nice to have an AoE attack with the strong version of increased speed on this champion. Diabolist is a nice champion if you're not running like an apothecary on your team, right? It's a little bit redundant to run her with an apothecary because they're both doing turn meter and speed, increased speed to your team, but you can still run them together, obviously. She brings a little bit of damage to the table, more so than apothecary, and apothecary brings the heals to the table, more so, obviously, than Diabolist, considering she doesn't have any heals. So it's nice to have that extra damage on the squad. Positive Charge is a mini version of Energize from Lysandra. Fill the turn meter of all allies 15%, decrease turn meter of enemies by 15%. We went War Master as well on this champion. We also went down to Lasting Gifts for the increased speed and the Spirit Haste mastery for Diabolist. Also went Lore of Steel, going to help us out a little bit here as we do have 2 speed and 1 accuracy sets on this champion. In terms of our overall stats and priorities, obviously we do need accuracy for that decreased turn meter as we talked about on the guide that we did on her, so we need about a 200 plus accuracy on this champion for level 20 dungeons. 224 speed, I'm prioritizing speed on this champion. She has increased speed and she has turn meter. That should be just like Apothecary, just like Golden Reaper, just like what other Seeker, other speed boosters in the game. You want to prioritize speed on your speed champions so they're faster than your other allies and they're speeding them up even more, right? So 40k HP, 1600 defense, 2800 attack, almost 100% crit rate at 90. That's kind of how I have her built out. I do have crit rate gauntlets on this champion along with attack percentage and speed, of course, and I have, as you guys saw, 2 speed sets and an accuracy set going to really help me out with that accuracy as well. I don't have her banner actually maxed out. It's level 12, but it has accuracy on it, and then we have crit damage and a level 12 ring with HP for more durability. If she's still dying for you guys, feel free to go ahead and put on an HP percentage chest. It does scale much better than defense, which is very low on this champion at 782. So next up, who did I rank next? It was Aveer. So he's Magic Affinity, as well as Diabolist, and he's right in front of my face. There he is. So Avir the Alchmage is a solid champion. On the A1, he has the Poison, as we mentioned. A 45% chance of Poison on the A1. The strong version is really nice to have for a rare champion. On the A2, with the decreased attack on an AoE and decreased speed if the targets are under Poison, granted the weak version of the decreased speed, on a 3-turn cooldown is really nice. So the decreased attack, again, weak version, but still solid. 100% chance when fully booked. A lot of books going into this champion, but they're rare books, a little bit easier and more accessible for you guys. But he puts out a decent amount of damage too. We just saw it there as evidence that last dragon run, right? He was the damage lead. And check out his nasty A3 here. Fills a turn meter of all allies by 15% and heals all allies by 15% of this champion's max HP. Nice to have that turn meter and the heal on all allies on a 4-turn cooldown. Again, this champion really does need to be fully booked out to get the full utility out of him. We went War Master again on him. We also went with Master Hexer and Evil Eye, along with the accuracy as well, to help land those decreased attacks and decreased speeds, and of course his poisons. So I put this champion in a lifesteal gear, also with accuracy. I didn't end up using him on Dwarves 21, but you know, I probably could have. Let's go ahead. I just had better options, right? 43k HP, 2000 defense, 172 speed, 98% crit rate, a little bit of crit damage, and accuracy nice and high at 264. We went crit rate, we went at HP percentage, and we went speed. Of course, we're looking to get his HP as high as possible because, again, his heal on that A3, Vitalizing Potions, I believe, is predicated on based on his HP. So we want to build him with HP. Certainly going to be looking for an HP percentage on the chest. Sorry for the 6-star legendary, guys. I try to pick, more realistic gear, especially on my rare spotlights. HP on the ring makes a lot of sense. I did go crit damage with an HP roll, flat stat, obviously, on the amulet. And then I went attack. Why did I go attack with defense? His damage is based on attack, so it's not like it's based on HP. That would make him an OP rare champion. But I guess I went with the extra defense. His defense is actually pretty high for a rare at 1035, and his speed is pretty high too at 102. But I probably, if I could redo this, if I had a good HP banner instead, I'd probably go with that. Let's see actually what I have here. Resistance. Oops, let's take a look here. Resistance, attack, defense, resistance, attack, accuracy, HP. So I think I'd actually switch him into this. HP with HP percentage with a double roll on attack. I'm actually going to go ahead and make that swap. Obviously, I'll level it up first, but I would prefer HP because you can get a lot of HP, as we talked about on the other video, on our epic video. You can get a lot of HP off of your banners. Banners is a sneaky way to really put a champion in a shield set. Again, a viable candidate for a shield set as well, because he does have that heal also based on HP. So that's how I have him built out here, guys. Really a big fan of this champion. Next up, we have Draconis. Where are you? Right there. Draconis, man. He's a beast. Love this dude. Attacks one enemy, heals the ally with the lowest HP by 7.5% of the damage inflicted. Much better to have the 7.5% of the damage inflicted, in my opinion, than it is, based off of, their max HP or something like that. So as long as we're doing a decent amount of damage, we're getting a nice little heal there on the A1. I'm not going to lie to you guys, 7.5% of the damage inflicted is not a ton, but it's nice because it heals the ally with the lowest HP. So when you need the heal, where you need the heal, you're getting it on his A1. A nice kind of added benefit to the rest of his kit. On a 3-turn cooldown, though, places a shield buff on all allies equal to 15% of this champion's max HP for 2 turns. So a shield, again, based on his max HP, you can book him up to get a more shield percentage, 15% more on that shield. And then the Order of Mercy attacks one enemy, removes all debuffs from the ally with the lowest HP, and then heals them by 25% of the damage inflicted. Order of Mercy came in real handy for me in Faction Wars. Sacred Order 21, Draconis was a huge part of my team, just consistently keeping everybody alive with his 3-turn shield. It's not a ton of, but it's based on his max HP, so it's not a ton of shield, but it's really solid to have a Sacred Order shield champion like Draconis, rare, even though he is a void, more easily accessible. I really love this dude's kit. So War Master again on this champion, getting more damage out of that A1 is always beneficial, especially when you have that heal attached to it. And then Lasting Gifts as well. Definitely want Lasting Gifts on him. And the increased speed and Spirit Haste is the tier 5 and tier 6 masteries that I went with. Let's see real quick here. Yeah, Lasting Gifts, of course, for the shield. And of course, bears mentioning that we went with lay on hands for his heals. And of course, we went with Healing Savior. We went with rapid response. And man, I really should have went with Shield Bearer. That's definitely a mistake there. And again, just like our epic video, we noticed a couple mistakes in masteries. I'm glad I can catch these things so you guys don't have to go ahead and make the same mistakes. I have no idea why I have Exalt in Death over Shield Bearer. Shield Bearer is a no-brainer to put on this champion, so that is a big mistake. Again, big mistake. Do not screenshot this. Make sure you put Shield Bearer on this champion. You'll definitely be glad you had it. He's an easy champion to build because he does not need accuracy at all in his kit. So nice and easy. You just want to stack up. Make sure his crit rate is close to 100% because we want him doing damage on his A1 and his A3, which the heal is based off his damage dealt. We want him with a lot of HP to get those shields nice and meaty. We're looking at about a 10k plus shield with 76,000 HP in his kit. That's a lot of HP to kind of soak up on all of your allies, and then 189 speed, and that's basically it. Again, pretty easy champion to build. His defense is a little bit low, but I'd rather sacrifice and get that HP from this champion. I do have crit rate on the gauntlets, HP on the chest, speed on the boots. We have HP on the banner, HP on the amulet, and HP, you guessed it, on the ring with a double HP roll. So looking for a lot of hit points. You can make the argument that you'd rather change the HP banner in for a crit damage amulet. That's up to you guys. Getting a little bit extra damage again out of the A1, the A3 will help his heals be a little bit beefier as well. So, Reliquary Tender, number 1. Reliquary. She is amazing. Warden's Staff, she has a decreased attack as we mentioned in the Dragon Run. On the A2, Tender's Watch removes all debuffs from all allies, then places a 15% continuous heal buff on them for 2 turns on a 3-turn cooldown. Tender's Watch is an insane ability for a rare champion. This is why I personally rank her 3 overall in rare champions, and number 1 in today's video. Call to Life is a 5-turn revival, revives an ally with 30% HP, and fills their turn meter by 30% HP. There's been a lot of great champions added to the game who also have revives, most recently Kaden, and you know, her revive isn't as good as it once was. Way back in the day, a year ago, you know, this was really valuable to have in a rare champion, but now with more fusions, more champions, Scylla the Drakes being a daily login reward champion, we have more options. So with that said, thanks to power creep in this game, she's a little bit less special than she used to be, but that does not take anything away from her overall kit. It's super solid, not for the revive, even though that's really nice to have, but for the Tender's Watch. This still remains on a 3-turn cooldown with a full cleanse and the strong version of continuous heal, one of the better rare abilities inside the entire game. So I went War Master, getting a little bit of damage out of my Reliquary Tender with the War Master. You could go defense tree if you want to as well, but I prefer War Master on this champion. And then Lasting Gifts to extend the duration of your heal is going to be very valuable, obviously. Getting that extra 15% heal for 1 more round is a game changer when you can get that 30% proc. And then, of course, a Spirit Haste, again, Evil Eye, and Lure of Steel. And that completes our video, guys. Let me know what you think of these 5 rare champions. Which one, you know, would you want? Which order would you rank them? Just like the epic and the legendary video, I'm going to throw it to you guys. I want to see a few comments, or a lot of comments, kind of listing these champions from 1 to 5 in the order that you would like these champions. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next month on this same series. Subscribe if you enjoyed the content here on the channel. Thank you, and as always, take care, guys.